He smashed through the wooden door. Seconds later, blood-soaked zombies forced their way in, snarling and clawing. The village officials stood frozen in terror, completely overwhelmed. Just as all hope seemed lost, the window shattered. Joshua dove through, blade gleaming. In a blur of motion, the zombies fell one after another. He rushed to Xia Bingbing's side, gently cupping her face and checking for any sign of infection. Only when he saw no blood or bite marks did he let out a quiet breath of relief. This was the woman who, in his past life, was cold, commanding, and nearly untouchable. Yet now she looked fragile, almost human. Just then, the man with glasses shouted, "Why did you kill them?" "Those were our neighbors, people we've lived with for years." Joshua exhaled slowly, trying to stay calm. "They're no longer human. One bite, or even a drop of infected blood, that's all it takes. They're zombies now." The man adjusted his glasses, voice rising. "Zombies? That's old Zhang. He was just looking for his missing granddaughter. We should call the police. Let the authorities handle this." At that moment, Lin Jie strolled out from the back room, clapping slowly with a smug smile. "Wow, a real tough guy, huh? What's next? Gonna say the government's part of the conspiracy too?" He scoffed. "Zombies? Please, you've been reading too many web novels." His mocking tone fanned the crowd's panic into rage. Some started shouting that Zhou should be tied up and handed over to the police. Just as chaos was about to erupt, Xia Bingbing stepped forward and shouted, "Enough! Joshua just saved all our lives. Believe what you want, but those villagers were not acting like humans anymore." Joshua gave Xia Bingbing a grateful glance. Then he spoke firmly, "If you still don't believe me, I can show you the truth. Let's head to the forest behind the mountain." Lin Jie's eyes narrowed. He'd already noticed Zhou's strange behavior in town, stockpiling weapons and supplies. Now, he was almost certain this guy knew something. If Joshua holds anything that could expose me, Lin Jie thought grimly, then he has to die, no matter what. With a fake smile, he gathered a few of his thugs and said he'd come along just in case. One Xia Bingbing and the man with glasses, Huang Tao, also volunteered to join. She was worried about the villagers, and Huang Tao still hadn't heard from his missing wife. The village head had gone out earlier that day to investigate the disappearances and hadn't returned. When the group reached the back mountain, they quickly found his abandoned vehicle parked by the forest. Joshua touched the hood, still warm. "He hasn't been gone long," he muttered, eyes narrowing. Pieces of his past life memory began to click into place. If things unfold the same way, this forest might be ground zero for the first zombie outbreak. But even after scouring the entire mountain, the group found nothing. That was until Joshua noticed a strange cave entrance hidden among the rocks. The ground was stained with blood, and the air reeked of rot. Everything screamed that zombies had passed through. "I'll go in and check," Joshua said flatly. Lin Jie sneered, immediately throwing shade. "Or maybe you're just heading in to destroy the evidence." "What? Hiding your little crime scene in there?" Joshua shot him a cold glance. "If you're scared, stay here. Otherwise, follow me and shut up." Just as Joshua stepped toward the cave, a figure lunged out from the shadows. "Ashin!" Huang Tao shouted with joy. It was his missing wife. He rushed forward, arms wide. But in the next second, Ashin bared her teeth and went straight for his throat. "Don't touch her!" Joshua roared. In a flash, he darted forward, jamming his blade between her jaws. Without hesitation, he drove the blade deep and ended her. As he turned to check on Huang Tao, the man let out a broken scream and swung a wooden stick at him. "You killed her! You murdered my wife!" Joshua knocked him to the ground, face grim, silent. Joshua stayed calm, his voice low and heavy. "I get that you're hurting, but Ashin was already gone. She turned. I had no choice. I'm trying to keep the rest of us alive." Huang Tao staggered to his feet, his voice cracking with grief and rage. "That's easy for you to say. What if I killed your family in front of you? Could you stay this calm then?" The words hit Joshua like a slap. His mind flashed back to his past life, to the bodies of his loved ones lying cold and broken, soaked in blood. His breath caught. Then, with a snarl, he grabbed Huang Tao and hoisted him into the air like he weighed nothing. His eyes turned sharp as blades. This life, no one threatens my family, and walks away. He raised his blade, and from his side, Lin Jie's voice cut in with a mocking laugh. Well, look at you. Maybe you're not so different from the monsters after all. At that instant, a strong hand slammed into Zhou's wrist, stopping the strike. Then, BM, a headbutt sent him crashing to the ground. A familiar voice growled, "Snap out of it, dumbass." Standing above him, his face grim but steady, was his big brother, Zhou Ming. Zhou Ming stared at Huang Tao, who was still lost in the agony of losing his wife. He suddenly shouted, "You saw what she became? No one wanted this. If you need someone to blame, blame me. Her death is on me too. But right now, you need to pull yourself together. You're a village leader, damn it. These people still need you." Huang Tao trembled, clenching his fists, then finally gave a slow, broken nod. The tension finally cracked. Just then, a faint cry echoed from the cave. "Help! Someone! Help!" It was the village chief's voice. But Joshua froze, frowning. Something felt off. The tone was too controlled, too human. One of Lin Jie's thugs rolled his eyes and scoffed. "What bunch of scared babies. I'll go drag him out myself." With that, he strutted into the cave. He didn't make it far. SHNK. A wet slicing sound cut through the silence. His torso was split clean from his waist, blood spraying everywhere. A grotesque zombie dragged out his upper half, then casually flung it aside like trash. Behind it, dozens, no, hundreds of glowing red eyes lit up the darkness. The horde had awakened. What Joshua saw was far beyond what he had imagined. The number of undead pouring from the cave was absolutely staggering. Even if he could fight his way out, how could he protect both Summer and his brother? Thankfully, the Zhou brothers had trained since childhood under a retired military martial arts master. Their skills were nothing short of elite, good enough to match professional fighters. Aim for the head. They're sensitive to direct light, Joshua warned. The brothers moved in perfect sync, slashing and dodging, clearing the immediate area within minutes. Meanwhile, Lin Jie had already scrambled behind a tree, too scared to even breathe. But deep within the cave, the same eerie cry for help echoed again. Joshua and Zhou Ming exchanged a glance. "You guys head back," Joshua said firmly. "It's too dangerous from here on out. You'll only slow us down." Then, without hesitation, the two stepped into the darkness. Not long in, Joshua stopped abruptly. A corpse lay ahead, dried out like a husk, heart completely missing. That same voice called again, whispering unnaturally through the air. Zhou Ming raised his flashlight, sweeping across the cave. There, sitting with his back to them, was the village chief. Silent, still, and then he snapped around. Pale face, empty eyes, and from his chest, tentacles began to unfurl. The creature lunged at them with terrifying speed. Joshua reacted instinctively, slashing his blade toward its head. But the moment the blade struck, he knew something was wrong. It barely flinched. That wasn't a regular zombie. This was a mutant. In the next instant, tentacles whipped out and sent Joshua flying into the cave wall. Zhou Ming's flashlight beam caught the creature's face, and it screeched, recoiling violently from the light. They seized a moment and scrambled out of the cave. Gasping for breath, Zhou Ming turned to his brother, stunned. "What the hell was that thing?" Joshua exhaled slowly. "I think we're looking at a cross-species infection. Some kind of genetic recombination between animals and humans. It's no longer just undead, it's evolved." He nodded toward the dark, gaping mine shaft. "My guess, there's a whole nest of mutated bats in there. And that thing was a second-stage variant, probably once the village chief." Joshua glanced up at the full moon. "Good thing tonight's bright. These things fear light. They won't come out easily." Zhou Ming looked at him in disbelief. "Since when did you become a virologist?" Joshua shrugged, half smirking. "Guess I binged one too many documentaries before the world went to hell." They were just about to head back, planning to return the next day with proper gear to deal with the mutant, when suddenly, A swarm of glowing red eyes burst from the cave. It was a horde of mutated bats. The sky darkened in an instant, the moonlight swallowed by wings. Taking advantage of the chaos, the mutated zombie launched itself forward like a cannonball, smashing Zhou Ming with a brutal strike and sending him flying. One of its tentacles lashed out, shattering the flashlight Zhou Zhuo held. The creature's intent was clear. It had locked onto Zhou Ming as its target. Zhou Zhuo gritted his teeth and pulled with all his strength, but it was useless. The monster's power was overwhelming, far beyond what any human could resist. Just as the creature's jaws were about to close around Zhou Ming's hand, Zhou Zhuo was frozen in helpless horror. Then, out of nowhere, a car came speeding onto the scene. The door slammed open, and behind the wheel was Xia Bingbing. She aimed without hesitation and rammed the mutated zombie, sending it flying. Zhou Zhuo didn't miss the opening. He rushed forward and struck the final blow, ending the creature's life for good. When they realized the monster was actually the village chief, Xia Bingbing was visibly shaken. Zhou Ming exhaled deeply, his voice weary but sincere. If you hadn't shown up when you did, we'd both be dead right now. But before they could catch their breath, Zhou Zhuo's face turned pale. He'd spotted it. Deep on Zhou Ming's forearm, a clear bite mark. Zhou Ming gave a faint, tired smile. I'm sorry, little brother. You'll have to take care of the family now. And as for what comes next, I don't need to say it, do I? Those words tore through Zhou Zhuo like a blade. Because deep down, he already knew he would have to be the one to end his brother's suffering. Staring at his infected brother, Zhou Zhuo was overwhelmed with guilt. He had believed that being reborn would give him the chance to change fate, to protect his family. So why was history repeating itself? Suddenly, his eyes locked onto the corpse of the mutant. He rushed over and yanked the blade out from the creature's skull, then began hacking at its head again and again, relentlessly, blood splattering everywhere. Zhou Ming, thinking his brother had snapped from grief, cried out, Zhuo, what are you doing? Stop it. Xia Bingbing also called out to him, trying to pull him back. But Zhou Zhuo didn't stop, because something had just come to him. He remembered that high-level zombies absorb viral energy from the lower ones and condense it into a crystallized core hidden deep within their skulls. Moments later, he found it, a dark, blood-colored crystal nestled in the back of the creature's brain. He turned back to Zhou Ming, his voice steady, eyes burning with hope. You haven't turned yet. There's still time. And with that, he held out the crystal. Zhou Zhuo spoke with a heavy voice. This is a zombie core, formed by concentrated viral matter. It shares the same source as what's in your body. If you take it, there's a chance you could evolve into an immune-enhanced type, but there's also a chance you'll turn into one of those monsters. Zhou Ming barely glanced at it before swallowing it down without hesitation. Zhou Zhuo hesitated, but deep down, he knew this was their only shot. After swallowing it, Zhou Ming smirked. Seriously? You had this the whole time? Could have saved me the drama. So when does it kick in? Zhou Zhuo answered flatly, within 2 days. Zhou Ming nodded, turning toward the cave. 2 days. If I'm not out by then, seal it up. But if I come out with superpowers, you better not get jealous. Watching his brother walk away, so casually, Zhou Zhuo finally felt the weight in his chest lift a little. He believed in him. With a faint smile, he whispered, I'll be waiting. Hidden behind a tree nearby, Lin Jie had been eavesdropping on the whole conversation. A sinister grin crept across his face. So that's how it is. Fine then. Let me help speed things up. The next morning, as the sun began to rise, Zhou Ying burst into Zhou Zhuo's room in full DIY battle gear. Bro, time to get up. Zhou Zhuo turned his head and gave her a helpless look. What are you wearing? You look like something out of a bad sci-fi cosplay. Zhou Ying puffed up proudly. You said we needed to step up our defenses. I stayed up all night making this armor. Pretty cool, huh? She waited, expecting praise, only for Zhou Zhuo to casually reach out and poke the armor with one finger. Zhou Ying tumbled out of the room like a rolling barrel. Zhou Zhuo stared, deadpan. That's your armor? What are you going to do when zombies show up? Roll them to death. Shaking his head, he stepped outside, only to spot his dad balancing on a ladder, stacking bricks to reinforce the courtyard wall. Mr. Zhou saw him and called out, "Zhou, you're up." He hopped down from the wall, grabbed a barrel of black powder nearby, and walked over with a huge grin. "Where'd you get this stuff? Come on, let your old man keep a few barrels to play with." Zhou sighed. "Dad, that's gunpowder, not a toy." But Mr. Zhou had already slung the barrel over his shoulder, jogging away with a laugh. "Just one. You're too stingy." Watching his overly excited dad, Zhou muttered, "Please don't blow up the house." Suddenly, a loud clang came from the side yard. He turned and saw his mom, frying pan strapped to her head, wielding a trident, feet planted on a yoga roller, training with his little sister, who was mimicking her moves. Zhou stared at the scene, then thought to himself, "Yep, definitely mother and daughter." Then he asked out loud, "Mom, any breakfast today?" Without turning her head, she answered, "Make your own. I'm busy," and went right back to perfecting her fork technique. Zhou sighed again. "Guess I'll go mooch a meal off Uncle Niao." Xiao Bingbing had been standing at Zhou's doorstep for a while, just about to press the doorbell, when the door opened from the inside. Zhou stepped out, surprised. "You're here? What are you doing outside?" Xiao Bingbing lowered her head, hesitating. Then, as if summoning her courage, she looked up and said loudly, I need your help with something." Zhou blinked. "Help with what?" Just then, his mom came to the door as well. When she saw who it was, she smiled warmly. "Oh, Bing Bing, come in, come in." Xiao Bingbing gave a polite nod. "Thanks, Auntie, but I won't stay long. I'm here to talk to Zhou." She turned back to him, her tone serious. "The village committee has started organizing defenses. It's going okay so far, but I contacted the county police station last night, and ever since then, nothing. No messages, and this morning, no signal at all." Zhou quickly checked his phone, no bars. He frowned. "That's strange. This didn't happen last time." Xiao Bingbing continued, her voice tense. "It doesn't feel right. If we're cut off, we might miss something critical, like incoming support." She met his gaze. "Zhou, I need you to come with me to the county. We have to find out what's going on." Zhou stood in silence, clearly troubled by what Xiao Bingbing had said. Sensing his hesitation, Xiao Bingbing bowed deeply. "I am sorry. I know your brother went through hell yesterday, and now I'm asking you to take another risk." She looked up, eyes steady. "But I have to go to the county to find out what's going on. It's my responsibility. And you're the best fighter I know. You understand those creatures better than anyone." At that moment, Zhou's mom stepped in and gently interrupted. "That's enough, Bing Bing. If it weren't for you yesterday, my foolish son might not have made it back at all." Xiao Bingbing turned toward the voice, surprised. Mrs. Zhou added, "What happened with Ming was his choice. Don't blame yourself. Bing Bing, wait here a moment." Then she turned to her son. "Zhou, come with me." Zhou glanced at his mom and followed her into the house. Inside, she stood quietly, rummaging through an old wooden shelf. Without turning around, she spoke softly. "Your father and I, we're your parents. We're not supposed to hold you back. We're meant to shield you, not weigh you down. Look at you, all grown up and still making your little sister worry." With that, she pulled out a long blade wrapped in old cloth. Time had aged it, but its edge still gleamed faintly. Zhou and Xiao Bingbing walked side by side, heading off toward the county. Behind them, Zhou's mother stood quietly at the gate, watching until their figures disappeared into the distance. A faint smile appeared on her face as she murmured to herself, "Those two make quite the pair, don't they?" Meanwhile, deep inside the cave, Zhou Ming sat still, waiting for his body to react to the zombie core he had just swallowed. Suddenly, he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. Thinking it was his brother, he opened his mouth. "Zhou, wait. Don't come any closer yet." Then, he felt something wet trickling past his boots. Frowning, he dipped a finger into the liquid and brought it to his nose. The moment he smelled it, his expression changed. Gasoline. Before he could react, a spark ignited at the mouth of the cave. A deafening explosion erupted. Flames tore through the tunnel, and Zhou Ming was swallowed by the blaze in an instant. Meanwhile, Zhou Zhuo and Xia Bingbing were on the road, heading toward the county in search of help. Xia Bingbing sat in the passenger seat, staring nervously out the window, softly humming a tune, completely off-key. Zhou Zhuo glanced sideways and couldn't help but think, wow, she really is tone-deaf. Noticing his stare, Xia Bingbing blushed slightly and muttered, sorry, I hum when I'm nervous. I know I sound terrible. But Zhou Zhuo wasn't laughing. In fact, he felt a strange warmth. She was clearly scared, yet still forcing herself forward. Yeah, he thought, that's a Xia Bingbing I know. With so many unexpected variables this time around, he realized he couldn't rely solely on memories from his past life. And her sensitivity to zombies, that was something he had to trust. Without warning, he said, Xia Bingbing, you should come stay at my place. She froze, turning to look at him, cheeks slightly flushed. Why would I do that? She asked softly. Zhou Zhuo didn't even notice the change in her tone. He was still caught in his thoughts. If I told her about her future powers, she'd never believe me. So instead, he just said plainly, because I need you safe. I can't afford to lose you. Just as Xia Bingbing, cheeks still flushed, was about to ask what he meant, Zhou Zhuo suddenly frowned. Up ahead, the road was completely blocked by a massive landslide. They quickly got out of the car to inspect. Looking at the mountain of debris, Xia Bingbing sighed in frustration. There's no way we're getting to the county like this. Zhou Zhuo didn't reply right away, but inside he was tense. This road was fine in my last life. Something's changed. Not just the timing, but the entire path. If this route is truly cut off, we're going to have serious problems with future supplies. He finally exhaled. Let's head back to the village. We'll figure something out. Xia Bingbing nodded silently. On the way back, Zhou Zhuo's mind raced. They had enough supplies to hold out for now, but no signal, no way out. Everything felt like it was closing in. Suddenly, clunk. The car jolted violently, then began sliding toward the edge of the bridge. Zhou Zhuo slammed the brakes, gripping the wheel tight. With a screech of tires, the vehicle stopped just inches from tumbling off the edge. Both of them quickly jumped out to check what had happened. Xia Bingbing stared at the ground, her voice trembling. Is that? Zhou Zhuo's face darkened. Don't get close. That's a spike strip. Someone put it there on purpose. Just then, a mocking voice echoed from above. Well, Zhou Zhuo, didn't take you long to cozy up to our pretty little village chief. Gotta say, I'm impressed. They looked up to see Lin Jie crouched on the railing, spinning a pistol between his fingers, his eyes full of menace. Zhou Zhuo looked up coldly. What do you want? Lin Jie sneered. What do I want? You wiped out half my crew last night. As their leader, I can't exactly let that slide, can I? He jumped down and started walking toward them slowly, step by step. Zhou Zhuo scoffed. Want revenge? Then go pick a fight with the zombies, not with us. His eyes narrowed. But after the way you cowered last night, I doubt you even have the guts. That did it. Lin Jie's face twisted with rage. You son of a... I'll kill you right here. Zhou Zhuo calmly rested his hand on the hilt of his blade, a cold smile forming. Go ahead, try me. But just as the tension hit its peak, Lin Jie suddenly turned his gun and fired at Xia Bingbing without warning. The shot rang out. She collapsed, blood blooming across her shirt. Zhou Zhuo froze, his eyes going wide. Lin Jie, he roared. You sick bastard. Lin Jie burst into laughter. That's more like it. Yeah, you're feeling it now. He grinned cruelly. If I want to hurt you, I go for the ones you care about most. Lin Jie smirked maliciously. Oh, right? Almost forgot to tell you. I saw your brother get bitten last night. You couldn't bring yourself to finish him off, could you? So I did you a favor and blew up the entire mine. Zhou Zhuo froze like he'd been struck by lightning. In the blink of an eye, his eyes turned bloodshot. With a roar, he drew his blade and charged at Lin Jie. Lin Jie grinned wickedly. That's it, you idiot. Just what I wanted. As he raised his gun to fire, a dark blur exploded from the trilene. Crunch. It sank its jaws into Lin Jie's arm, ripping it clean off. Lin Jie collapsed, howling in agony, screaming like a stuck pig as he stared in horror at the creature. Zhoj was skidded to a stop, shocked by the sudden chaos. He narrowed his eyes. That's a tier 2 zombie wolf. Meanwhile, back at the village, Zhou sat on the rooftop, swinging her legs and mumbling, "Why aren't Second Bro and Bing Bing back yet?" Suddenly, loud pounding echoed from the front gate. A voice shouted urgently, "Is Zhou home? Open up." Zhou poked her head over the edge. "Brother Huang? Uncle Nyo? My brother's not here. What's going on?" Huang Tao suddenly pointed toward the mountain ridge and shouted, "Look over there." Zhou quickly lifted her phone and turned on the flashlight, aiming it into the distance. As the beam focused on the hillside, her eyes widened, completely frozen in place. Swarming down the slopes were countless zombies, moving like a black tide toward the village. Meanwhile, Lin Jie lay on the ground, bleeding out. Barely conscious, he cursed through gritted teeth, "Damn it, is this really how I go out?" The zombie wolf slowly turned its bloodshot eyes toward Joshua. Joshua's instinct screamed, "Not good. It's locked onto me." With a deafening howl, the beast lunged straight at him. Joshua dodged to the side with lightning reflexes, slashing his blade across the creature's chest as it passed. Blood sprayed violently. The zombie wolf crashed to the ground, screeching in pain. Joshua caught his breath, eyes locked on the injured beast. Good, it's dusk. Its power isn't at full strength yet. But if night falls, Bing Bing and I won't stand a chance. We have to end this before the sun goes down. Suddenly, a chorus of deep, guttural howls echoed from the woods. Joshua froze. More zombies. Then it hit him. His expression darkened. No, this is a horde. His gaze snapped to the distance, where a rolling wave of undead surged through the forest. Wait, wasn't the village chief the source? But he's already dead. Then who is? The bats? Could they be the real cause? Just as Joshua pieced it all together, the zombie wolf lunged straight at him with a blood-curdling roar. Its claws slashed down viciously, aiming to rip him apart. At the last possible second, Joshua twisted his body, narrowly dodging the fatal blow. His heart pounded. How is it still this fast? It should be dying. Then he noticed it. The wound he had just carved into the creature's chest was closing up, healing rapidly right before his eyes. Before he could steady himself, the beast opened its massive jaws and lunged again, aiming to tear him apart. Meanwhile, deep inside the cave, where Zhou Ming had been buried, the rubble still shook from earlier explosions. A deep rumble echoed louder and louder through the tunnel. Then, boom! An explosion of force sent the boulders flying in all directions. Moments later, Zhou Ming emerged from the smoke, his body radiating an eerie crimson glow. A cold, twisted smile crept across his face. Back on the bridge, Xia Bingbing stared in horror as the zombie wolf clamped down toward Joshua. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "No, please don't." Just as the zombie wolf clamped its jaws around Joshua, a strange red aura erupted from his body, a fiery glow that pulsed like living energy beneath his skin. Power surged through him, raw, wild, uncontrollable. It felt like his entire being was burning and reborn. With a guttural roar, Joshua drove his fist straight into the beast's jaw. The zombie wolf, caught completely off guard, reeled backward from the devastating blow. It let out a tortured screech, blood gushing from its mouth as it crashed to the ground. Joshua didn't give it a chance to recover. His eyes burned red as he leapt forward, raising his blade high, and with one clean, brutal slash, he sliced the creature clean in half. As the dust settled, Xia Bingbing stared at the blood-soaked silhouette in disbelief. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Zhou? Shua?" He turned toward her with a soft smile. "Yeah, I'm here." Collapsing weakly against the ground, Xia Bingbing gave a faint smile. "Haha, as long as you're okay." Xia Bingbing stared at the severed zombie wolf, then at Joshua, who stood calm and steady. She let out a weak chuckle. "You're ridiculously strong. And somehow, I'm not even surprised. Is it because deep down, she thought, I've already come to believe that he can fix anything?" Joshua looked down at his hands. The power coursing through his body hadn't faded. It pulsed, wild yet controlled. Where did this come from? Could this be an awakening? But something didn't add up. In his past life, no one awakened without a crystal core. And yet, I never used one. He snapped out of it, eyes locking onto the swarm of undead surging toward them. His tone sharpened. Now's not the time to chat. We need to move. We're surrounded. If we stay here, we're dead. Noticing the injury on her leg, he stepped forward. You can't run like that. I'll carry you. Just hold on tight. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Gritting her teeth, Xiao Bingbing struggled to stand. Her face was pale with pain, but she nodded firmly. Okay. The horde of zombies roared like a crashing wave, their snarls slicing through the air as they swarmed closer. Zhozhua didn't hesitate. He threw Xiao Bingbing over his back and sprinted toward the village with everything he had. The outline of the village came into view, but the undead were gaining fast, footsteps pounding like drums of death. He glanced back, calculating fast. There's too many of them. Even if I could take them all down, I can't protect Bingbing from getting hurt. Just as he gritted his teeth and prepared to keep running, a loud roar echoed from the distance. A vehicle, charging through the chaos like a missile. It was a heavily modified off-road truck, spitting massive fireballs from its rear exhaust, mowing through zombies like paper targets. As it reached Zhozhua, the driver pulled off a sharp drift. The tail swung wide, launching a wall of flame that blasted the oncoming undead into the air, burning them to ash in an instant. The car skidded to a stop. The driver's window rolled down, revealing Zhou's dad, a cigarette dangling from his lips. With a big grin, he shouted, "Zhou, Dad's here to save the day." From the passenger seat, Zhou waved excitedly. And me, fire support locked and loaded. After picking them up, Zhou's dad slammed on the gas, racing back toward the village. Seeing the undead still hot on their tail, he shouted, "Gunner, fire 3 of the Zhou-style dragon bombs." "Roger that," Zhou Ying yelled back without missing a beat, yanking 3 homemade firebombs from her pack and hurling them out the back window. Flames exploded behind them, setting several zombies ablaze, but the creatures still kept running, engulfed in fire. Zhou's dad gave a cold snort. "Still chasing us while you're on fire? All right, let's crank it up." He tossed a barrel of gunpowder out the window. Then, with a flick of his fingers, he launched his lit cigarette right into it. Boom! A massive explosion lit up the night, engulfing the road in a blazing inferno. Zhou Ying cheered from the back seat, eyes sparkling. "That was insane. Let's go." Meanwhile, Zhozhua and Xiao Bingbing exchanged a look of helpless disbelief. This family might actually be crazier than the zombies. Zhozhua suddenly remembered there was a medical kit under the seat. He bent down to retrieve it. Just as he pulled out some bandages and ointment, Zhou Ying snatched them from his hands and scolded. "Hey, you don't just grab a girl's leg like that." Then, with a mischievous grin, she added, "Unless there's something going on between you two that I don't know about?" Xiao Bingbing blushed and let out a shy chuckle. Zhozhua rolled his eyes, muttering in his head, "This little brat, always stirring the pot." Ignoring her, he turned to his dad. "Dad, how's everything back home?" Zhou's father kept his eyes on the rearview mirror, replying calmly, "We're good for now. The horde hasn't broken through the village yet." Zhou nodded, then glanced at the explosives in the back. "By the way, all this dynamite, did you really make it? And you were smoking next to it?" "Seriously?" Zhou's dad laughed proudly. "Of course. Back in the day, I was obsessed with explosives. Worked the mines as the team's demolition expert. Once the mines dried up, I had nothing to blow up anymore. I tried messing with firecrackers at home, but your mom shut that down real fast." He let out a long sigh, shaking his head like a man robbed of his true calling. Zhou suddenly remembered something and asked, "Wait, was that explosion in the kitchen last year you're doing?" His dad visibly stiffened, voice shaky. What? Of course not. Don't be ridiculous." Zhou squinted. "Dad, you're trembling." His dad mumbled, "Don't tell your mom." Before long, they arrived at the front gate. The moment they got out, loud screeching echoed from inside the yard. Zhou's dad's face went pale. He ran to the door and slammed against it. Crap, it's locked from the inside. Without hesitation, Joshua stepped forward, bent his knees, and smashed the door open with one powerful knee strike. Inside the courtyard, they were greeted by a surreal sight. Joe's mom, casually gripping a flailing zombie by the neck with one hand. She glanced at the creature and said coldly, "Oh, it's you? Auntie Zhang from the next village. Long time no see." Joe's dad and Zhouing peeked from behind the broken door frame. They shuddered at the sight of her furious expression and quietly hid behind the wall. Joshua stood at the front, cautiously calling out, "Mom?" She didn't even look up. Still holding her frying pan, she growled at the zombie. "You really jumped out and scared me. Huh? You think just because you turned into this, you don't have to pay me back?" Joe's mom furiously swung her frying pan at the zombie woman. "And another thing, last time we played cards, you still owe me 500. I gave your son 600 when he went to college, but when my eldest got accepted, you gave us nothing, and then you had the nerve to gossip about us? You deserve this." Joshua stared at the scene in shock, edging toward his dad. When did Mom get this strong? His dad took a slow drag from his cigarette. "She's always been like this. Back in the day, your mom was the top dog in a 10-village radius. 3 to 5 men couldn't lay a hand on her. Things only calmed down after she met me. Though truth be told, she kind of forced me into marrying her." Thunk! A flying frying pan smashed into the back of his head. From inside the courtyard, his wife's voice shot out cold and sharp. "Liar! You were the one begging to marry me." She turned to glare at Joshua. "And you busted the front gate like a hero. Huh. Wait till I get my hands on you." Joshua instantly took a step back, trying to sneak off. But Xia Bingbing quickly spoke up. "Auntie Xia, please don't blame him. He really was just worried about you." The moment those words left her mouth, Zhou's mom froze mid-step. She slowly turned toward Bingbing, face softening like a flipped switch. "Oh, Bingbing's here too? I was just fooling around earlier. Don't take it seriously. And he's super easygoing, you know?" Joshua stood there, staring blankly at the scene. Her acting is scarier than the zombies. Just then, a chilling roar came from the side of the courtyard wall. A zombie had climbed up and was shrieking wildly. But before it could jump down, it was struck mid-air and sent crashing back outside. Standing atop the wall, Huang Tao shouted urgently, "Quit chatting. They're getting in. Zombies are flooding the village, and there's a whole group heading straight for us from the west." Joshua's eyes sharpened. He summoned the energy within him, red light surging across his body, then launched himself straight into the fight. As he saw his dad flinging explosives, his sister manning a homemade cannon, and his mom charging forward with her iron pan, Joshua's heart surged with conviction. This time, we fight together. We're not letting a single one through. I'm not alone anymore. With my family beside me, we will survive this tide of death. But then, suddenly, the zombies at the rear began to retreat. Zhouing blinked in disbelief. "Look, they're backing off. Or are they afraid?" Joshua frowned. "No, zombies don't feel fear." As if to answer him, the zombies reappeared, this time carrying ladders, crowbars, and even saws. They were organizing. Joe's dad stared, stunned. "You've got to be kidding. They got tools now. Are we dealing with zombies or a siege army?" Joshua's voice turned cold. "They're not acting on instinct. Someone's controlling them." Amid the chaos, Joshua suddenly caught a glimpse of a figure on a distant rooftop. He narrowed his eyes. It was Lin Jie. The man who should have died in the explosion was now standing tall, his twisted face staring down at them with a cold, unnerving smile. At that moment, waves of zombies surged toward the Zhou family's compound, relentless like a tidal wave. Zhou's dad cursed through gritted teeth. "Damn it, why are they all coming straight for us?" He turned and shouted, "Ing, the explosives!" Zhou panicked. "We're out. We used them all." From the side, Huang Tao's voice rang out. "Joshua, some of them are climbing in from the flank." Joshua turned sharply and saw several zombies scaling the sidewall. His heart sank. A diversion? They're using tactics now. Looking down, he saw Xia Bingbing and his parents surrounded, fending off the undead with whatever strength they had left. The entire family was locked in a desperate struggle. Zhou's eyes narrowed, red light flickering once more. Dad, Mom, hold the line in the courtyard. Leave the rest to me. With that, his power surged, and he leapt off the wall, diving straight into the heart of the horde. Zhou's father watched as his son leapt into the horde, panic rising in his chest. Shua! He shouted, voice cracking with fear. The next moment, the zombies swarmed over, burying Zhou beneath a mountain of gnashing teeth and clawing limbs. But underneath the crushing weight, Zhou wasn't afraid. He closed his eyes and felt the energy inside him roar to life like a volcanic storm. Gripping his blade tight, he growled through gritted teeth. Blood barrier, earthbreaker force. Ability unleashed, blood azura. In a single explosive motion, he swung his sword outward. A crimson wave of power surged out from his body, obliterating every zombie within range, turning them into flying chunks of flesh and bone. As the blood settled, Zhou stood tall, panting. The move had triggered a memory. In his past life, he had seen a man from the Dawn Legion, the Supreme Commander Point, one of the most powerful ability users alive. He had used this exact same move. But Zhou knew his version of Blood Azura was still far from complete. And yet, he didn't care. I don't need perfection, that I don't need to be the strongest. All I need is the strength to protect those I love. He looked up toward the twisted figure on the rooftop. These zombies mean nothing. The real threat is the one controlling them. If you want to end the chaos, take out the king. As another wave of zombies charged toward him, Zhou smirked, eyes glowing red. You seriously think this kind of trash is enough to stop me? Just as Zhou finished his words, a deafening roar exploded from behind him. A chill ran down his spine. He turned just in time to see a zombie lunging at Xia Bingbing. Before it could reach her, Zhou's mom slammed her frying pan into the creature's face, sending it flying. She rushed to Bingbing's side, eyes filled with worry. Xia, are you okay? Did it bite you? Panting heavily, Bingbing shook her head. I'm fine, Auntie Xia. Where's Zhou? I saw him jump down just now. From a front yard, Zhou called out excitedly. I saw him. He was like a superhero, cutting down zombies like it was nothing. He'll be fine. But just as her words fell, boom, a thunderous crash echoed through the air. Zhou froze. Slowly, she turned around. And there, amid broken stone and dust, lay Zhou, bloodied and battered. Straining to get up, he shouted hoarsely, Stay back. Don't come near, run. Towering before him stood a mutated zombie bear, twice the size of a truck, eyes glowing red, steel shards protruding from its spine. Its every breath steamed like smoke from a furnace. It wasn't just watching, it was hunting. Zhou's body trembled in pain, but he forced himself to rise. He clenched his fists, gaze locked on the beast, voice low and resolute. Right now, I'm the only one who can face this, and I won't let my family get hurt. Not again. Zhou's eyes burned red as he unleashed every ounce of power within him. A storm of blood-red energy surged around him like wildfire. He stood firm in front of the monstrous bear, teeth clenched. If I have to die today, I'll die protecting my family. From the courtyard, his father, mother, and sister cried out in panic, Zhou, fall back. But Zhou didn't move an inch. The giant zombie bear roared and lunged, its claws swinging down like a guillotine. Zhou dodged to the side just in time. But before the claw could hit, a loud crash echoed, followed by a familiar voice. Well, so you can use this kind of power too, huh? And here I thought you were slacking. The dust cleared, revealing Zhou Ming, calmly blocking the bear's claw with one hand. Sorry for the wait, little brother. Zhou's eyes widened in shock and joy. Big bro. Zhou Ming stretched his shoulders with a smirk. Took me a bit of time in the mountains to get used to this power. He glanced at Zhou. Now watch closely. This is how you really use it. With a twist of his arm, Zhou Ming hurled the giant bear through the air. It flew like a derailed freight train, smashing into a pile of ruins with a deafening boom. Zhou Ming shook off the dust and smirked. Huh, still breathing? Tough hide, this oversized hamster. Zhou Ming turned back calmly and said, I've got this. You, go handle what only you can. Zhou smirked, eyes cold as steel. Understood. He slowly turned, locking eyes on Lin Jie, still standing atop the distant rooftop. Memories of his past life flooded back. His family dying in front of him. His own helpless screams in the night. The bitterness. The rage. The endless nightmares. This time, with power in my hands, I'll destroy everything that threatens them. Zhou stepped forward, his voice cold and sharp. Lin Jie, so you're still alive? Lin Jie turned slowly, his once severed arm now replaced with a grotesque, wolf-like claw. He let out a low, rasping laugh. No, you're talking to someone else now. The old Lin Jie is dead. He grinned, eyes wild, fangs exposed. This body is broken free from the limits of humanity. I'm part zombie, part man. Intelligence and control all in one. I command the horde. I keep my mind. In this apocalypse, I am king. Below, the zombie horde swarmed toward the building. Lin Jie stood tall, eyes closed, basking in the surge of dark power flooding his body. He smirked. You know, Zhou, I really ought to thank you. If you hadn't diced that zombie wolf into bits, I wouldn't have gotten that crystal core handed to me on a silver platter. His voice dropped lower, lips curling into a cruel grin. I've been thinking, how should I repay you for such a gift? And I finally decided. Xing! He didn't even get to finish a single flash of steel. Zhou's blade came down hard. Lin Jie's head split clean down the middle. Blood sprayed like a geyser. Zhou sheathed his sword with a cold expression. Still the same coward, just with a louder mouth. And you think you're fit to be king? He turned away, eyes scanning the battlefield. Now that Lin Jie's gone, Big Brother should have less pressure on his end. But then, a chilling laugh echoed from behind. How was that it? Zhou froze, slowly turning back, only to see Lin Jie's body rising again. The gash in his skull knitting itself back together, flesh pulsing, bones snapping back into place with sickening cracks. Lin Jie's eyes now glowed a feral red. He grinned, voice deeper, more monstrous. Face it, Zhou, your blade can't kill me. Zhou's eyes widened. He instantly raised his blade, placing it firmly before his chest that he inherited the zombie wolf's regeneration. I have to end this now. But before he could strike, Lin Jie appeared beside him like a shadow. His voice oozed into Zhou's ear like venom. We're the same, Zhou. This is our era. Join me. The dead will serve us. The living will feed us. Humanity will kneel as livestock beneath our rule. He gestured toward the swarming hordes. I even brought you a little gift. Cleared out those inferior bloodlines around you. How's that for a warm welcome? Down below, the zombie tide had already reached the walls. Inside the courtyard, Zhou's parents, Xia Bing Bing, and the others were struggling to hold the line. From the side, Uncle Neo shouted, Zhou, the west side's collapsing. Zhou's father panted, sweat pouring down his face. Hold a little longer. Xiao Shu and Zhua, they'll finish this soon. But before he could even catch his breath, boom, a massive crash shook the ground. The giant bear's corpse landed beside him, kicking up a cloud of dirt and blood. From behind the wall, Zhou Ming's voice rang out with a hint of mischief. Man, this guy really could take a beating. Let's use him to patch the hole, yeah? Zhou's father turned quickly, relieved and tense. Xiao Shu, how's your brother? Is Zhou all right? Zhou Ming looked at the zombies closing in from every direction. He clenched his jaw. There was no way to break away now. Turning to his father, he said firmly, don't worry. Zhou has more potential than I ever did. He'll finish this. Meanwhile, Zhou was once again struck by Lin Jie, sent flying, crashing into the earth with a bone-crunching thud. Dust exploded outward. He lay there, blood dripping from his mouth, body battered. Lin Jie stepped down, crouching atop the rubble with a wicked grin. Tisich, disappointing. This is all you've got, Zhou. Still, bend the knee now, and I'll forgive you for raising your blade against your king. But before the words had even left his mouth, slash! A crimson flash streaked through the air. Zhou Zhua surged forward, his blade cleaving into Lin Jie's chest, sending him flying through 3 stone walls. Dust still swirling, Zhou Zhua stood tall, eyes sharp, voice cold. Humans don't walk with beasts, especially not ones that bear their fangs at my family. He marched toward the crumpled figure in the rubble, sword still dripping with blood. And with a voice like judgment, he declared, Lin Jie, there's only one thing left for me to do. Kill you. Lin Jie's chest wound began sealing up almost instantly. Standing tall, he licked Zhou Zhua's blood from his claw, voice cold and menacing. Is that so? What a shame, Zhou Zhua. Then I hereby sentence you to death. In a flash, he lunged forward. His claw came down like a falling guillotine, slicing through the air with terrifying force. Zhou Zhua barely raised his blade in time. Clang. Sparks exploded on impact. He's faster, stronger. Zhou Zhua's arms trembled from the force. I can't hold this much longer. Blow after blow rained down. Lin Jie was relentless. TSSHHK. A searing pain tore through Zhou Zhua's arm. A deep gash opened through even his blood barrier. Reacting instantly, he kicked back and landed several paces away, breathing heavily. He glanced at the wound, eyes narrowing. Even my blood azura shield can't hold anymore. I'm reaching my limit. Across the battlefield, Lin Jie sneered, licking his claw. Impressive, Zhou Zhua. You dodged that. I really thought I'd be admiring your intestines by now. Zhou Zhua felt his strength draining, his vision slightly blurring. The blood azura aura was flickering, dying. But then, he looked up, stared straight at the monster before him, and gripped his blade tighter. If I only have one strike left, then let it in with that. Before Zhou Zhua could even react, Lin Jie suddenly appeared in front of him. He grinned wickedly, eyes glowing red. Hey, gotcha. Honestly, even I don't know how strong I am at full power. Zhou Zhua froze for a second, just long enough. Lin Jie's claw slashed across his chest, deep and brutal. Blood burst from the wound, painting the ground. But in that instant, Zhou Zhua reached into his coat. With one final surge of will, he threw a homemade explosive straight at Lin Jie's face. Enjoy this surprise, bastard. Boom! Flames roared to life, engulfing the area in a hellish inferno. From within the blaze, Lin Jie's voice echoed out, cold and mocking. A Molotov? You think that's enough to kill me? As the smoke cleared, Lin Jie stepped out, unharmed, but Zhou Zhua was gone. He blinked, then muttered. He ran. Then he laughed. Maniacal, unhinged. Your blood smells like a flare in the dark. You think you can hide from me? His grin vanished. Eyes turned ice cold. Run all you want, Zhou Zhua. I'll find you. And when I do, I'll tear you apart piece by piece. Elsewhere, Zhou Zhua collapsed inside a dark convenience store. Gasping for breath, he clutched his wound. Sweat, blood, and pain blurred together. But his grip on the blade remained firm. Zhou Zhua leaned against the cold shelf, eyes locked on his wounded arm. The bleeding had stopped. Not healed entirely, but enough. He felt a flicker of surprise. So, blood azura can heal? But his relief was short-lived. His energy was nearly gone. Just one move left. One last chance. Outside the gas station, footsteps echoed. Then came Lin Jie's voice, booming and cruel. A gas station? Really, Zhou Zhua? Some people die with no taste. You chose your coffin like a peasant. His claw dragged across a rusted van, sparks flying with every scrape. Metal shrieked in protest. He slowed his steps, voice turning low and deliberate, like a predator explaining the rules of the hunt. Tell me, do you know why wolves hunt? Even when they're not hungry? Lin Jie walked slowly, voice almost reverent, to feel a prey's terror. Their desperate hope, crushed after every clever trick fails, that moment of pure collapse. That's the finest spice. With a twisted grin, he slammed his foot into a nearby car. Crash. The vehicle flipped like a toy, landing with a deafening metallic screech. He glanced at the ground, following the trail of blood. It led to a barely visible tripwire, glistening faintly with gasoline. Above it, a glass Molotov, ready to drop at the slightest touch. Lin Jie scoffed, his smile widening. You thought I'd be stupid enough to follow your little trail? To walk right into your trap like some blind mutt? He slowly raised a claw, eyes narrowing. No, the strongest scent of blood is coming from up there. Slash! With a sudden leap, Lin Jie cleaved upward, his claw ripping into the roof. The ceiling shattered, crashing down in a storm of steel and wood. The roof came crashing down, debris scattered, and amidst the dust, a blood-soaked jacket dropped at Lin Jie's feet. He snatched it up, confused, eyes narrowing. What a jacket! But before he could even react, whoosh! Zhou exploded out from the shadows, right in front of him. In one smooth motion, he flung a fistful of powder into Lin Jie's face. Aor! Lin Jie howled in agony, clutching his burning eyes. Zhou, what the hell did you do? Zhou stepped closer, voice calm and cold. That's salt. You couldn't smell it? A slight smirk curled at his lips. Then again, you can't smell anything anymore. Can't see either, can you? Zhou stepped forward, voice cold and measured. You inherited the zombie wolf's strength, but also its greatest weakness. A wolf's nose holds over 200 million scent cells, capable of detecting over 2 million different smells. That sensitivity turns salt into absolute agony. He locked eyes with the writhing Lin Jie. Most people drop their guard once they think they've seen through a trap. You call yourself king, but you're no different. Just a blind dog choking on its own arrogance. Lin Jie roared, eyes wild with rage. Zhou, I'll kill you. I'll tear you apart. Zhou raised his blade, calm as ever. You won't get the chance. Blood energy surged through his arm, wrapping his sword in a crimson storm of power. Blood Azura, world splitter. The blade came down in a flash of red light. Boom! Lin Jie was smashed into the earth, a shockwave ripping through the ground. Smoke filled the air until the crater came into view. Zhou stood at the edge, staring down into the pit. Still alive, he muttered, Damn, you monsters really are hard to kill. Lin Jie lay crushed in the crater, bloodied and gasping, but still snarling through his teeth. I'm a king. I don't die. But something changed. His eyes widened in shock as he noticed liquid rising around him, thick, oily, and reeking of gasoline. What is this? He shouted, panic replacing fury. Zhou's voice cut through the tension, calm and cold. Those little firebombs? They weren't enough. He stopped just short of the crater, looking up at the sky. So I figured, why not test if a full underground fuel tank can blow a monster like you straight to hell? His tone never rose. There was no anger, no fear, only quiet finality. This gas station is your coffin. Goodbye, Lin Jie. Boom! Back at the village, Zhou's father stood at the gate, weapons in hand. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion rocked the horizon. He looked up, confused. What in the world? And then, a brilliant fireball bloomed in the distance. A second sun, rising over the ruins. Zhou's father stood in silence, watching the fiery glow on the horizon. The sun's up, he muttered. Look, Zhou shouted excitedly. Everyone turned. The horde of zombies that had been surrounding them all night was retreating. As the tide of death slowly pulled back, the exhausted defenders finally smiled, relieved, alive. Meanwhile, Zhou looked toward the rising sun. He smiled faintly and started walking back home. But a weak voice called out from behind. Leaning against a broken wall was a pale, barely conscious figure. Zhou, help me. Her head fell forward as her strength gave out. Zhou froze, turned back slowly. Li Qin, back at home. Zhou Ying stood with her arms crossed, glaring at her brother. Bro, are you seriously a pervert? What kind of guy strips a girl in public? Zhou sighed, clearly frustrated. I was just checking if Li Qin had been bitten. You can't just bring someone home because they look okay. Too many groups were wiped out for that exact mistake. He added, almost defensively, and I wasn't wearing a shirt either. So, technically it was fair. Zhou Ming rolled her eyes. That just makes you sound more like a creep. Good thing I stopped you in time. If Icy had seen that. Zhou opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, the nearby door creaked open. Xiao Bingbing stepped out calmly. She's fine, she said. I checked her. Just exhausted, both mentally and physically. She'll wake up soon. She paused, glancing at the two. Why do you both look so weird? Zhou Ming coughed, forcing a smile. Nothing. We're just glad you're okay. I see. Zhou turned toward her, a hint of warmth in his voice. Thanks. For everything. Xiao Bingbing lowered her gaze, quietly replying, I didn't really do anything. You're the ones who did all the hard work. After a short rest, Huang Tao, Uncle Neo, and Xiao Bingbing prepared to leave. They wanted to check the village for any more survivors while it was still daylight, part of their duty as members of the village council. Just before they left, Zhou called out to Xiao Bingbing, seeing the guilt in her eyes. Bingbing, don't blame yourself. No one can stop a zombie tide in advance. We can't save everyone, but as long as we're alive, there's still hope. Xiao Bingbing turned back, smiling gently. I know. Thank you. From a car, Zhou Ming chuckled. Not bad, little bro. You're finally learning how to talk like a human being. Zhou watched the group drive off, murmuring, this time, the ending's finally different. Zhou Ming raised an eyebrow. Huh? What are you talking about? I meant your EQ, but never mind. He sighed, then nudged the ignition. Let's move. We still need to deal with these bodies. The two drove toward the mountains and got to work on the final cleanup. Standing before the burning corpses, Zhou spoke quietly. These mutated corpses have to be incinerated. If animals eat them, we might be looking at the next disaster. Zhou Ming clapped the dust off his hands and grinned. Well, looks like we can finally go home and get some real sleep. Oh, and Zhou, make sure to take the car through the gas station wash. It reeks. Zhou scratched his head awkwardly. Yep, about that gas station. Then he frowned. Wait a sec. Why me? Zhou Ming slung an arm around his shoulder with a smirk. Because I'm your big bro, got a problem with that? Zhou narrowed his eyes. You know the rules. Zhou Ming raised an eyebrow. Seriously? You sure you can still beat me now? Zhou scoffed. Please. I've never lost at ghost tag. They quickly set it up. Zhou Ming was the ghost hunter. Zhou played the ghost. The rules were simple. The hunter counts for 10 seconds while the ghost runs. If caught within 3 minutes, the hunter wins. And the ghost? Just run like hell. As Zhou's power flared and he sprinted off, Zhou Ming chuckled behind him. Really? Pulling that trick? You do remember I know it too, right? Before Zhou could even react, Zhou Ming was already right behind him. He lunged to grab him, but Zhou stopped on a dime, twisted his body, and dodged to the side like a shadow. The two dashed through the forest, leaping over roots, weaving between trees, locked in a relentless game of tag. Suddenly, Zhou leapt high, aiming for a tree branch overhead. Zhou Ming blinked in surprise, then smirked. Oh, going airborne? Nice try. Without warning, he charged straight toward the tree, just as Zhou reached for the branch. Crack! The tree toppled with a thunderous crash. Startled, Zhou adjusted midair and landed safely on the ground. Behind him, Zhou Ming was still grinning, blade in hand, fresh from felling the tree. Thought you'd escape up there? Not a chance. Zhou had barely landed when he felt something massive coming from behind. He spun around, only to see Zhou Ming hurling the whole tree trunk at him. Zhou crossed his arms, bracing himself, and blocked it with full force. The brothers locked in place, one pushing, one resisting, energy crackling between them. Zhou Ming laughed, his voice full of challenge. Running again, little bro? Zhou didn't answer his brother's teasing. He was too focused on holding back the crashing tree trunk, silently marveling at the raw force behind it. Realizing there was no way to push back head-on, he let the momentum carry him backward to absorb the impact. Moments later, the log smashed into the cliff with a thunderous crash, kicking up a cloud of dust and splinters. Zhou Ming, standing amid the mess, scratched his head awkwardly. Did I go too hard? He shouted, "Zhuo, you get down there?" But got no reply. As the dust cleared, he saw no one. Then, bonk, a pebble hit the top of his head. Zhou's voice floated down from above. "Time's up. Ghost wins this round." Zhou Ming looked up at the cliff and called out, "When did you get up there, you sneaky brat?" Zhou jumped down lightly, grinning. "When I leaned back against the cliff to absorb the impact, I figured out a lot about how our powers work." Zhou Ming nodded. "I got mine from absorbing a zombie core. You too, right?" Zhou rolled his shoulders and replied casually, "Something like that." Though in his mind, he added, "Technically, it was in my previous life." Then aloud, "But I think my ability is a bit different. I can tap into other people's powers." Zhou Ming blinked in surprise. "Wait, you mean you can use my powers? Like copy them? Not just coincidence?" Zhou nodded. "Yeah, something like that. Your ability, Blood Bastion, right? It boosts physical strength, speed, and defense. Plus, that crimson aura around you can block most physical attacks. Based on our little scuffle, I think I can replicate about 70% of it." Zhou Ming raised an eyebrow. 70%? And I still lost? Damn, that's not all, Zhou added. "I think I can assess your abilities in a pretty detailed way." Zhou Ming blinked. "Hold on, are we talking RPG character stats now? Like you got a personal interface or something?" "Not exactly," Zhou said, flexing his fingers. "It's more of an instinct. Like I can feel the numbers behind a person's strength. If the average adult stat is 20, your power and agility would be around 90. Your endurance, maybe 95. As for intelligence..." Wait, Zhou Ming interrupted, grinning. "Don't tell me this thing makes me smarter too?" Zhou smirked. "More like 0. Honestly, watching you wrestle with a tree stump was kind of painful." Zhou Ming threw an arm around his shoulder with a mock snarl. "Careful, kid. My 0 IQ might still knock your teeth out." Then he suddenly remembered something. "Oh right, the zombie bear's core crystal. I stashed in your drawer. Might come in handy later."